Here's a question you might have. How is firing glass in my kiln different from what I'm already doing, like firing pottery, for example? There's a big difference between firing glass in your kiln and pottery. With pottery, we talk the language of cones. You may hear cone 04, or shelf cone 06, or witness cone 04. We don't talk about cones when we talk about firing glass. We talk about a firing schedule or firing temperatures, or a combination of time and temperatures. So when you get your glass fusing center set up in your studio, in your kit you're going to find one of these little booklets, Getting Started with Kiln-Fired Glass. This is going to be your Bible. It's very helpful. There's a whole section in this book that talks about programming your kiln. We also have on video a step-by-step guide that you can look for on the website showing you exactly how to set your kiln. So let's talk about the difference. So I mentioned with pottery we talk cones. That means I'm turning it on, it's slowly heating up, reaching a temperature, shutting off, and then cooling down naturally. With glass, there are firing schedules, which means there's different segments that ask the kiln to go to a certain temperature, sit there and hold for a while, go to a different temperature, hang out there for a while, maybe cool down rapidly to hit a certain goal temperature, needs to sit and soak on that temperature for a while, and then finally cool down even further and hang there for a while. So that's a little bit different than what you might be used to. But don't let that scare you. The kiln's smarter than you think. Once you program it, it will just go easy. All right, let's look at this firing schedule and kind of dissect it a little bit. So for most glass firings, you're going to find 4 segments is pretty common. So let's just diagnose this a little bit. So we have the first segment that we'll tell the kiln to do, and we're going to ask it to kind of preheat, kind of slowly bring that glass up to a warming temperature. Glass is a little more subject to thermal shock than pottery. So if we blast it with heat or blast it with cool air too rapidly, it could cause it to crack or fracture. So we don't want to do that. So our first segment will go slowly and ramp up and get to a particular temperature and hang there for a while. And it gives the glass a chance for all of it to get to the right temperature. Even heating, that's key. So our next segment will go a little bit quicker to get to our goal temperature. So that could be something for a tack fuse. It could be something for a contour fuse, which is a little hotter. Or even a little hotter yet, it could be a full fuse, which would melt all your glass together and be nice and smooth. Then it needs to hang there for a little while to, again, make sure all that glass evenly heats throughout, all the way to the core. Kind of like when you're cooking a roast beef. You know, the inside could be rare, outside looks well done. With glass, we want it cooked through all the way. All right, the third segment could be what we call an annealing time. So that means 950 or 960 degrees. Here's a little interesting tidbit for you. You notice we keep referring to our glass as System 96. Well, how did they come up with that 96 thing? Here's something interesting. When the glass anneals, it anneals at 960 degrees. There's that 96 for you. So, what does annealing mean? Annealing is when the glass hits 960 or 950 degrees, in that range, all those glass molecules are jumping around all over the place out of order. 960 is where they'll all come together and relax and go where they're supposed to go. So the glass is very stable and very strong. You need to make sure that every bit of that glass is 950 or 960 degrees. So it's going to hang there for quite a while. All of our firing schedules recommend that it stays to anneal about 40 minutes. That's something a little bit different than what we're used to in firing pottery. So once everything is annealed and the glass is super strong at that point, we need it to start cooling down slowly. So we're going to get it down to about 800 degrees and let it sit there for about 10 minutes or so to make sure it doesn't cool too quickly. Once the glass hits 800 degrees, it's pretty safe for it to start to relax and start to slowly cool down to room temperature on its own. Never put a fan in front of the kiln or pull those peak plugs out to try to force cool that kiln. Glass is very sensitive at that point and it could crack, split, or fracture on you. So just let it cool naturally. Be patient. It's worth the wait.